Intro. The morning that changed everything. It was a quiet Thursday morning when Margaret Reynolds, 72, passed away in her sleep. There were no warning signs, no recent illness. She had spent the day before with her daughter, laughing over lunch and talking about their upcoming family reunion. She seemed sharp, cheerful, and full of life. The next morning she was gone. Her family was devastated and confused. The autopsy revealed no major health event, no stroke, no heart attack. But the doctor noted something subtle and surprisingly common in seniors, a sudden drop in blood pressure that likely caused a fall, followed by a cascade of complications. It may have happened in the simplest of moments, getting out of bed too quickly. For those of us working in healthcare, this wasn't unfamiliar. I've spent over 2 decades working with older adults. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. The small, everyday habits that seem harmless in our 30s or 40s can become dangerous after 70, especially in the morning. The body's systems, heart, blood vessels, muscles, even the brain, are more sensitive than we often realize. And how we begin the day can either protect us or put us at serious risk. In the stories that follow, I'll walk you through 4 common morning mistakes that many people over 70 make every single day, often without knowing it. Each one is based on real health science, and I've woven them into the lives of people just like you or your loved ones. You'll meet Edward, James, Robert, and Walter, all navigating the same things you are: aging, staying independent, and trying to live well. What happened to Margaret doesn't have to happen to you. And with just a few simple changes, it won't. Part 1. Edward's fall. The risk of getting up too fast. Edward Miller was 74, and proud of it. A retired high school teacher with a sharp wit and a soft spot for crossword puzzles. Edward had always considered himself pretty healthy for his age. Sure, his knees cracked a little when he got up, and he sometimes forgot where he put his glasses. But who didn't? Every morning he had the same routine. Wake up, swing his legs over the side of the bed, stand up, and shuffle to the kitchen for his oatmeal and the New York Times. Until one morning, things didn't go quite as planned. He had just opened his eyes when he sat up, swung his legs out, and stood, all in one motion. But as he pushed himself upright, the room spun. He felt his knees buckle and a wave of dizziness crash over him like a tide. Everything went white for a second, then black. The next thing he knew, he was back on the bed, one leg still hanging off the edge, heart pounding. Thankfully, Edward didn't fall to the floor, but the experience rattled him. Later that day, his daughter convinced him to see his doctor. What he learned surprised him, but it also saved him. "Edward, what you had was something called orthostatic hypotension," the doctor explained. "It's when your blood pressure drops suddenly when you stand up too fast, especially after lying down for a long time. It turns out this is incredibly common after 70. As we age, the circulatory system slows down. Blood tends to pool in the lower body while sleeping. When you get up too fast, your brain might not get enough blood for a moment, leading to dizziness, lightheadedness, or even fainting. It's also one of the leading causes of early morning falls. So Edward made a change, a small one, but powerful. Instead of jumping out of bed, he began following a 3-step routine every morning. Wake up gently. He'd lie in bed for a minute, take a few deep breaths, and wiggle his fingers and toes to start his circulation. Roll and sit slowly. Next, he'd roll onto his side, then gently push himself into a sitting position, keeping his feet on the floor. Pause before standing. Before getting up, he'd move his ankles in slow circles, stretch his arms, and let his body adjust for 20 to 30 seconds. It felt strange at first, but within a week the dizziness stopped. He felt steadier, more in control, and most importantly, safer. Edward still does his crossword every morning, but now he gets to the kitchen without worrying whether his feet will catch up with his head. Part 2. James' wake-up call. The power of water. James Anderson, 76, had always been the type of guy who loved his morning routine. A cup of coffee, a quick check of the news, and a couple of hours in his garden. That was his idea of the perfect start to the day. But recently he'd begun noticing something unsettling. He was waking up feeling off, more tired than usual. His brain felt foggy, and he could barely keep his eyes open through his morning coffee. He chalked it up to aging. Everyone got a little slower as they got older, right? But something in the back of his mind told him it wasn't just that. It was around this time that his daughter Sarah noticed the changes too. She'd been reading up on the importance of hydration for seniors and asked her dad if he drank water when he woke up. James, always a creature of habit, laughed. "Water? I go straight for the coffee. Been doing it for decades." Sarah gave him a concerned look. "Dad, you're dehydrated when you wake up. Drinking water first thing is one of the easiest ways to help with that." James didn't think much of it, but a couple of weeks later, after a particularly rough morning with headaches and a dizzy spell, he finally gave in. He went online, read about the benefits of rehydrating in the morning, and thought, "What do I have to lose?" That very next morning, he filled a glass of water and drank it right after waking up, before even touching his coffee. It wasn't much, just a small glass, but the change was immediate. For the first time in weeks, James felt more awake. His energy levels spiked, and his brain fog started to clear. By the time he sat down with his coffee, he didn't feel like he needed it just to function. Over the next few weeks, the difference was even more noticeable. His headaches diminished, and he wasn't getting that heavy, sluggish feeling in the morning. He also noticed his blood pressure, which had been a little high, seemed to stabilize. The science behind it was simple but powerful. During sleep, your body loses water through respiration and sweat. By the time you wake up, you're already mildly dehydrated. That dehydration can lead to sluggish circulation, higher blood pressure, and even contribute to strokes or heart attacks in older adults. Hydrating first thing in the morning, before coffee or anything else, kickstarts your metabolism, thins the blood for better circulation, and helps your organs function properly. It's a small change, but for James, it made a world of difference. Now every morning, he starts his day with water. He even keeps a glass by his bedside for easy access. And while he still loves his coffee, he knows that the first step to feeling good isn't in the caffeine. It's in that simple glass of water. Part 3. Robert's gut reaction, coffee before food. Robert Carter, 75, was a man of habits. He'd been a lawyer for nearly 40 years, and throughout all those years, his mornings followed a strict routine. Wake up, grab a mug of black coffee, and start his day. The coffee was non-negotiable. It was the fuel that powered him through his busy life. But recently, something wasn't sitting right. Every morning after that first sip of coffee, Robert would feel jittery. His stomach churned, and sometimes he'd get a wave of nausea. The coffee didn't seem to hit the spot like it used to, and by mid-morning, he'd feel drained. At first, he dismissed it as a normal part of aging. After all, he was 75, right? But after talking to his friend Phil, who had been dealing with some digestion issues of his own, Robert started to wonder if his morning routine was the problem. "You ever try eating something before your coffee?" Phil had asked one day. Robert had never thought about it, but that night he did a little research, and what he found shocked him. It turns out that drinking coffee on an empty stomach can wreak havoc on your digestive system, especially as you age. When you wake up, your blood sugar is low, your stomach is empty, and your cortisol, the body's stress hormone, is at its peak. Drinking coffee first thing can spike cortisol even more, putting unnecessary stress on your body. It also raises acidity levels in your stomach, which can lead to indigestion, acid reflux, or even stomach ulcers over time. That's exactly what was happening to Robert. The coffee was irritating his empty stomach and adding stress to his system. The more he drank it, the worse he felt. So he decided to make a change. Instead of going straight for the coffee, he began to have a small snack first, usually a banana or a handful of nuts. This simple change worked wonders. He wasn't sure why it took him so long to figure it out, but once he started eating something light before his coffee, he noticed the difference almost immediately. The nausea disappeared, the jitters went away, and his energy felt more balanced throughout the morning. It wasn't that Robert had to give up his coffee. Part 4. Walter's misstep, ignoring morning stiffness. Walter Thompson, 78, had always considered himself an active person. Even as he got older, he kept walking daily, did stretches when he could, and enjoyed working in his garden. But there was one thing he had learned to live with: morning stiffness. Every morning when he woke up, his back, shoulders, and knees felt tight, almost like his joints had rusted overnight. It wasn't painful, just uncomfortable. He'd stretch a little, rub his shoulders, and then get on with his day. No big deal, right? But one morning, things didn't go according to plan. Walter had gotten out of bed as usual, but this time, he wasn't quite as prepared for the tightness in his back. He stood up too quickly, trying to rush to the bathroom, and the next thing he knew, his feet slipped out from under him. He lost his balance, and with a loud thud, Walter crashed to the ground. His hip took the brunt of the fall, and he was unable to get up without help. The pain was immediate and sharp. After a visit to the doctor, he learned that he had fractured his hip, and the road to recovery was going to take months. As he lay in bed recovering, Walter couldn't help but replay the moment over and over in his mind. If only he had taken a little more time to ease into the day, maybe he could have avoided that fall. That's when he realized how important it was to respect morning stiffness. As we get older, our muscles and joints become less flexible. During the night, circulation slows down, and our bodies produce less synovial fluid, the natural lubricant for joints. This means that when we wake up, our bodies aren't quite ready for action. But most people, especially seniors, ignore the stiffness and jump straight into their daily activities. The problem is, if you don't warm up your muscles and joints properly in the morning, you risk pulling or straining them. That's exactly what happened to Walter. So he started a new habit, taking a few minutes to stretch gently before getting out of bed. Instead of rushing to start his day, he now does a simple routine each morning. Gentle stretches. While still in bed, he wiggles his fingers and toes, rotates his ankles, and stretches his arms over his head to get the blood flowing. Knee lifts. Slowly lifting each knee to his chest while lying down helps loosen up his hips. Roll and sit up carefully. When he sits up, he rolls his shoulders, takes a deep breath, and slowly eases his way into the standing position. It only takes a few minutes, but it makes a world of difference. Walter now feels more limber, and his body is better prepared to handle the demands of the day. More importantly, by taking things slow, he dramatically reduced his risk of falls and injuries. Final thoughts. Small shifts, big results. As we've seen in the stories of Edward, James, Robert, and Walter, morning habits can have a huge impact on health and safety, especially after 70. What may seem like small, harmless routines, getting out of bed too quickly, skipping hydration, drinking coffee before eating, or ignoring stiffness, can lead to serious consequences. But the good news is that simple adjustments can make all the difference. By taking a few extra seconds to get up slowly, hydrating right away, having a snack before that first cup of coffee, and gently stretching your muscles, you can protect your body, improve your energy, and prevent dangerous falls or other health issues. The key is awareness. The more you understand how your body works and how your habits impact your health, the more control you have over aging gracefully. Aging well isn't about making drastic changes or turning your world upside down. It's about taking small, thoughtful steps to support your body every morning. And over time, those small changes can add up to a much healthier, more active life. So after reading these stories, take a moment to think about your own morning routine. Are there any habits you've been overlooking that could be affecting your health? Maybe it's time to make a small shift. After all, it's the little things that often have the biggest impact. Thank you for reading, and remember, you've got the power to make your mornings and your years a lot healthier.